I'm here today to bring you knowledge of one of the grandest tanks of all time. Built to cross fields of mud and artillery without so much as a dent, and dish out firepower enough to kill anything that moves, one of Britain's most famous tank designs from the Second World War was known simply as the TOG. The origin of the TOG can be traced to the First World War, where battlefields on the Western Front devolved into endless fields of trenches and mud. In these environments, tanks often struggled to take ground due to poor design. This led to the creation of vehicles like the British Mark IV. At the outset of the Second World War, British designers once again feared that the battlefield would become the same slog as it was 30 years before. To combat this, the Special Vehicle Development Committee was formed, headed by a man named Sir Albert Gerald Stern, who took part in the original Landship designs of World War I. Also joining him were former Director of Naval Construction, Sir Eustace Tennyson de Ayencourt, retired Major General Sir Ernest Swinton, engine designer Harry Ricardo, and gearbox and transmission expert Major Walton Gordon Wilson. This group of designers, veterans of World War I design, were dubbed the Old Gang, which gave the TOG its nickname. These designers set to work to create a tank which could cross waterlogged battlefields and prolonged enemy fire. Weighing 90 short tons and coming in at a length of 33 feet, the original TOG initially showed promise. It would be resistant to 47mm anti-tank guns and 105mm artillery shells. Designers added a 75mm howitzer on the front to punch through reinforced concrete walls up to 7 feet thick, as well as a pair of 2-pounder guns for anti-tank work. Base and machine guns and smoke dischargers would provide cover against infantry attack. In December 1939, the first wooden mock-up of the tank was created. This design featured large doors on the side for ferrying infantry, wide tracks, and mounted the turret of a Matilda II heavy tank. The front of a French Char B1 was transplanted onto the tank, including the 75mm gun. The machine guns and sponson mounts were dropped. The original design saw the tracks run over the hull, similarly to the Mark IV tank. However, this was realized to be unnecessary, so a quick redesign was drawn up. The prototype TOG was ready in October 1940. The excessive weight of the vehicle proved to be too much for its own good. The tracks were driven by a pair of electrical motors, each powered by a generator. To steer the tank, the steering wheel was hooked up to a potentiometer, a device which would vary the voltage to either motor, thereby altering the speed at which the tracks ran. This turned out to be a problem for the drive mechanisms, so a more traditional hydraulic drive was designed by Fluid Drive Engineering. However, this encountered its own problems. By this point, it was already May 1943. The prototype TOG I was sent to Chobham testing site, but was quickly lost to history. The story would have ended there, but the Old Gang hadn't put all their eggs into one basket. Backing up to 1940, after the original TOG was prototyped, the Old Gang began work on a successor to the design, simply named TOG II. Taking lessons learned from the first design, this new heavy tank featured a number of notable differences. The return track was set lower in the tank and encased in armor, with the doors set above them. The initial design called for a 6-pounder gun and a pair of sponsons on the side of the tank. This was later changed to a QF 3-inch gun, though in 1943 was fitted with the turret of the then under development Challenger tank, including its 17-pounder main gun. By this point, the sponsons had also been dropped. The final specifications saw 114mm of armor on the entire front of the tank, 76 on the sides, and 50 at the rear. A standard OQF 17-pounder was used as the main gun, and with a 6-man crew could reach speeds of up to 8.5 miles per hour. Despite issues with its predecessor, the TOG II never encountered the crippling drive issues that plagued the original TOG, despite using the same system. The final change was to use a torsion bar suspension. Despite these successes, by 1943 the war had taken a vastly different form than designers had feared, and a tank like the TOG II was no longer needed. The tank did not enter production, but the prototype was saved and now rests in the Bovington Tank Museum. The two TOGs shared many similarities with British infantry tanks like the Matilda and later Churchill designs. Its wide tracks, thick armor, and emphasis on infantry support weapons would characterize one half of British doctrine during the war. Though it never saw service, the tank was fully functional and remains beloved by many tank enthusiasts to this day. Thank you for watching this historical overview. If you would like more content like this, leave a like and comment down below, and subscribe for other War Thunder and historic content.